How many of us are waiting for somebody to tell us what to do? Many of us use, or I wouldn't say use, but work with different people to get guidance, support, right? Like a career mentor to help you see career possibilities, perhaps a financial advisor to guide, financial decision making, a therapist to help healing, maybe a spiritual teacher to illuminate the path. And at some point, during those conversations, we end up asking, just tell me what to do, please. Just tell me what to do. You probably know what's best for me, so tell me what to do. And we just want this answer to be just handed to us, some level of certainty delivered, and someone who can just see something that maybe we can't see ourselves, right? And just tell us. And these guides are valuable. They do offer perspectives that we don't see perhaps within ourselves or don't see yet. But there's one thing that they cannot do. Okay, maybe let's say there's a couple of very, very enlightened gurus who could probably tell you, like read you back to front, sure. But I would argue most of these helping professions can't tell you really what's in your soul, what feels true to you in your depths. They can't know what sits right in your bones. They can't determine what brings you peace, what brings you freedom, what brings you contentment. That is something that only you and I can know from what comes within me, what comes from within you. That deep knowing, that really unshakable sense of, yes, that comes from you. And, it reminds me of a story about my dad. So my dad was regarded as kind of, in a Christian circles, as what some call a prophet. Maybe others may call a clairvoyant in some ways, someone who can kind of see the future into people's lives. And, he would go around and it was his gift in a way. He would be in a large gathering. On the stage, he would single people out from a crowd. He'd be like, okay, the gentleman there in the red shirt, the glasses and hat. Here is what God is telling you directionally for your life. And he would see things like, he would get pictures of them, maybe living in a different country, maybe studying a particular, learning something specific, maybe a partner or a spouse that they would have who they yet didn't know, and different lifestyles, different occupations they're engaged in. You get the picture. And people, the accuracy was crazy good, like remarkable accuracy. People would, just be like completely shocked, like stunned. And be like, how do you know that? That just makes total sense. And, of course, as his reputation grew, many people started seeking him out. And then, of course, when he showed up to speak in large kind of gatherings, you could feel like this tension in the room. Like everyone's like, oh my God, he's going to say something. Some people would be waiting to see like, oh, I hope it's me. I hope it's me. I hope he has something directional for my life. And then there would be other people who would be kind of ducking under their seats and going, oh, please, please let it not be me. Because they were afraid that, if you told them where the life was going to go directionally, maybe it would change the complete trajectory of their lives. And then, oh my goodness, that would kind of haunt them and, this thing. But most people, just wanted him to tell them what to do. Like, what's the next step in their lives? What's this big grand design that God has for them, for instance? And I remember around the table I don't know if it was around the table one day but I remember in conversations with him, he said something that kind of stuck. And he used to comment like, people just want to hear something from God, some direction. And then they don't want to do the work themselves. They don't want to work on it. So, what they want is like this divine utterance, this tangible direction from a mouthpiece, like which way to go, some sort of certainty that could kind of alleviate, I don't know, give them some semblance of clarity of where they were going. And there's the flip side to this gift that Dad experienced. That would be people would come to him, after a couple of months, years, whatever, and they'd be like, uh, um, something like, "You prophesied X, Y, Z. You said this was going to happen, and nothing happened. So I don't know if we can trust you," and this kind of stuff, right? And Dad would just ask them the simple question, like, "What did you do about what was said? Did you do anything? What actions did you take to follow through?" And this is where the learning was, that belief in those actions and taking those steps is what makes it tangible, what makes it happen. And he would say, read your Bible again, look through the Bible. Everyone who acted upon the word that was spoken, they're the ones who really saw the unfolding of it in their lives. And of course, at this point, there would be total silence from the people. But, it again underlines the point that people want the revelation, they don't want the responsibility. Like, tell me what to do with my life. And then you're like, oh my goodness, that's a pretty tall order, because all of us each one of us has a phenomenally beautiful, perfect, wonderful soul level purpose in our lives. And yes, on one side, it can be kind of scary to find it, because it may shift your world as you know it. And on the other side, it's a beautiful release to find it. But then what next? How do we go on this, right? And this reminds me of another kind of incident that happened recently, where I was talking. A friend of mine texted me on a Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon, I guess, and he was talking about something about a friendship that he had for 20 years, and it was coming to an end. And he was kind of using frameworks, psychological frameworks, some kind of scientific studies, as well as some. He was going through some physiological feelings as he was processing this, and then of course he, like many of us, he used AI to kind of try to like bounce off his feelings, which he said he does from time to time. But his message to me was, hey, I would love, he said something like this, I'd love to get some truthful feedback from you and see if there's a potential pitfall that I might not be aware of, right? And so I read this message and I was thinking, what do I? So then I went into, the space where I usually go, just kind of in myself, sat for a moment, held it for a moment, and just asked soul, what is it that wants to emerge? And this is what emerged from my depths, right? And I said, hey, and it's something I've come to believe deeply and I'm experiencing in my life. So we have so many beautiful frameworks, books, teachers, guides, psychometric tests, personality typologies. Fundamentally, at the end of the day, these are all maps, right? And maps are useful. Maps are beautiful. They help you orient yourself in the territory that you're in. The territory is your soul, your deepest knowing. The vastness of that is huge. It's so big. So the place that you really know, that you know, that knowing inside you, it supersedes any map, it supersedes any external guidance. Even a guru, even a teacher, wise as they may be, gives you all these directions. At the end of the day, you must ask yourself. So I encourage my friend, hey, follow that still small voice. Follow that sensation in your body, whatever is arising. That's leading you to whatever step you need to take, I want to say, don't get me wrong, I love those frameworks. I've come across beautiful, honorable, useful modalities, personality typologies, psychological models, spiritual systems. But what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to hang my hat on those. I'm not going to put myself in a box based on some system, no matter how sophisticated it is, because it's got to resonate from here, right? We've all done those psychometric tests. We've all been labeled blue and green and analytical, relational, and yes, those are certain patterns that may emerge from time to time. There may be dominant ways that we express ourselves. These are designs, but let's be careful, let's be cautious, and not forget to, lest it cage us, lest it restrict us, because the human spirit is a free bird. It's not meant to be. not meant to be caged. I'm going to introduce something here from J. Krishnamurti. You probably heard of him. If not, please look him up. He's an extremely wise soul, an expression of the universe that came into this lifetime a few decades ago. And he says something. He says it's very easy. I'm going to read from here. It's very easy to conform to what your society or your parents and teachers tell you. That is the safe and easy way of existing. But that is not living. To live is to find out for yourself what is true. Who am I? What did I come to this lifetime to do, to learn, to be of service? That is a hard, because that's a much more responsible question, right? And this is the crux of the purpose discovery journey that I walk people through. And it's designed for you to discover the answers to that questions, where you forget about what the teacher told you, forget about what society told you, forget about all those layers that have been put on you year after year after year, what your peer tells you, what your colleague tells you, what your boss tells you. And it may seem hard, of course, because you are taking a harder path, you're not taking the easy path. But while conforming is the easy way, and we know that typical script, right? Buy the house, get the car, get the next promotion, etc., etc. And there is an emptiness, even as we're going through it, if we really sit and ask ourselves. Billionaires have also, you can see the outward expression. There's still that restlessness, because that is never the place of peace. This is emptiness. At least I find it to be empty. Perhaps you are fulfilled with it. Great. But I'm talking to more and more people who feel this sense of hollowness, right? And this is exactly why the Purpose Discovery program that I run exists. It's not to give you another framework to conform you, it's not to tell you what to do, it's to help you with modalities and help you ask the questions that can kind of awaken your soul level and really to help you find the true you and see that purpose that is originally in you and allowing to manifest in you. You know, for example, I'll give you an example in my life of one of the ways this manifested, right? So when I was in standard 6, I remember my teacher sent, they write you a report card, but you know, they would write a paragraph at the end to talk about you. And one of my teachers, I think it was an American gentleman at the time, he said something along the lines of, while everyone's kind of clamoring to give answers, Jonathan is the only one who's asking the questions. And when I did my own purpose discovery journey, I saw these pointers jump out at me from childhood, things I had long forgotten, and this was one of them, that I always asked questions. And this is one thing that I've understood more and more is the core of who I am. So, you know, I definitely receive fully. I give myself fully into practices, and I bring questions. I try to understand. I try to reason. That's part of who I am. And the more I understood that, and the more I honor myself, that part of myself, instead of trying to be the person with all the answers, the more I stepped into my purpose, right? So this is one way it manifested. And it's developed into one of my greatest strengths as a coach, as a purpose guide, walking alongside people with this journey. But I only discovered this going inward, following the map, yes, but also going off-road, because that's where the journey takes you. And then, yes, my teacher had pointed it out, but I did the work to unearth it, to get acquainted with it, to sit with it, to let it really become part of me, you know. So that is one way that in the purpose discovery, you may get this glimpse from childhood that's coming up. Music, art, things that you've abandoned could all come and emerge up front. And then of course the question would be, then what are you going to do with that once that you know it? You know, this brings me back to my father, where all these people were upset with him because nothing happened based on what he said. And you know, you can go through any program, likely even connect with God and have all these profound insights on your life. But if you don't take this action step right? And if you just sit on your hands and say, what a beautiful revelation, I'm so cool, I'm so blessed, nothing's going to happen. Because it's through action that one demonstrates commitment. You demonstrate faith, you demonstrate trust. Think about relationships. If you told your partner, hopefully most of us are telling our partner, I love you, but you never spend time together, you never have meals together, you never show up for them, how would that relationship develop? I would say probably not in a very good way, right? And relationship is deepened through the action, through the showing up, through the evolution of consistent presence, right? And that is how your relationship with soul also works. We're all looking many times for this one-time workshop, overnight journey, immediate transformation. No, it is a consistent practice, and that's why the program is designed over 6 months. In month one, you're just getting acquainted. You're like, oh, who's this person? Very interesting. 3 years in, 5 years in, sorry, 6 months in, you've probably gone through the journey, but I would say it's a lifetime change that you're taking place here. So 3 years in, 5 years in, 10 years in, and then you say to your partner, I know this person now. I know how you respond. I know that part of myself. I'm so much more aware of myself. That's the journey. And where the purpose discovery is coming in is that initial connection with soul, reconnection with soul, where you go through these phases. And then of course there's other phases that I'm offering, like integration, deepening, being part of the community. But it starts with your willingness to do the work, to ask the question, to listen to what emerges, and then to act on what you hear. Of course, this pattern is everywhere, right? I mean, even we go to our bosses and we're like, oh, they're not giving me clarity, they're not telling me what to do. And I'm like, well, did you ask? Not just once, multiple times. Did you sit with them? Did you try to reason with them? Did you offer to help them think through it rather than going, oh, you just tell me what to do, right? So we see this in all many aspects of our lives. We want someone else to have the answers. But imagine, here's what I'm offering, right? Imagine that you genuinely know your truth, not someone else's truth, for you, your truth, for yourself. So much becomes possible. Imagine making decisions with a sense of clarity, not with ease, with clarity. You know what's yours. You're able to cut out all this noise that's happening everywhere, right? So many messages, so many things coming out. But you can clearly know, this is me. Imagine showing up for relationships as yourself more and more and more. With respect, with authenticity, with consistency. Imagine doing work that feels aligned to who you are. The external may change, the external may not change, but you just engage in a sense of alignment, purpose-led, not paycheck-driven. And imagine as you go through this, a hollow sense of the world fading, melting away, because you're living from your center. You're not living for some script that someone else is giving you. Isn't that a beautiful way to live? The hollowness fades away. The performance stops. The being begins, the expansion begins, the energy flows. This is what the purpose discovery journey begins to make possible. And of course, it's not immediate, it's progressive, right? And that's what it is. And of course, you could do this work alone. Many have done similar work alone. Absolutely. You can go through teachings, explorations, YouTube videos, practices on your own, and you would likely progress quite well. What I'm offering is a kind of a container, a structured framework, a process when you can do this work in a consistent, supported way. I was talking to someone earlier today and she was like, well, if you gave me like some writings, some recordings and stuff, and then she stopped herself halfway. She's like, actually, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't even look at that recording. I wouldn't even look at that reading. I may glance through it, but I wouldn't be sincere about it. But if you had something that I had to come to and I was committed to, the likelihood of me going and doing it, and here we come back to the doing, You may have a beautiful revelation. You may have this fantastic book you read and it's like lit you up all the way. But if you don't practice these practices in the books consistently, well, hey, there you are kind of, it drops off, right? So what I want to say is that you're not alone in this. There's accountability, there's community, there's ways to keep moving forward, there's ways to join a program and connect with it on a regular basis so that you feel, oh yeah, okay, even if you're slowing down, there are others who kind of say, hey, come on, let's keep going, right? And we can otherwise kind of drift and just forget, and forgetting is very easy. We can just easily get pulled back into the conformity, and there's so much conformity, the safety, the ease of letting others just tell you what to do. And that is going back to the default easy way to live, right? Do you want to do that? Your choice. But this, going through a program like this will help you to harness, keep honest, other people, helping you move through. And of course, I'll tell you very plainly here, I won't tell you that what's your purpose. I'm not my father standing in front of the crowd going saying, God has told you this is the direction of your life. But what you can do is, like, in that container, as your soul begins to come alive, I can help you interpret perhaps what your soul is telling you, reflect some of that's happening. And in a group, in a community, we do it together so we can kind of help each other as we go through this. And in this way, you have the space to discover yourself, rediscover yourself, to ask the questions you've been avoiding, to listen to that voice you've been drowning out, to honor the glimpses from across your life, childhood, teenage, as you were growing through, that you might have dismissed as impractical, that you kind of set to the side and never worked on, even though you got this revelation. And then, as a guide, I can help you take action on what emerges. Because again, like I say throughout this video, revelation without action is no transformation. Transformation happens because of the action that's taken. The truth that you are seeking, the truth that I am seeking, it's not out there. It's not in some framework, a test result, a teacher's pronouncement, or a prophet's vision. It is inside you. It always is. It always has been. Are you willing to kind of do the work to find it, to discover it, to bring it out and bring it, as one of my coaches used to say, bring it up out and give it birth? And if that's interesting for you, then each month I hold a 90-minute introduction to purpose discovery, where you can get I call it a schmear, a little taste of what is this purpose discovery thing he's talking about. And fun fact, it's not about the mistranslated English version of ikigai. I'm going to make another video on that, so you can look that up, as that one's coming up, just to talk about, because purpose is the word at this time and season that's getting thrown around a lot, right? And I just want to be very clear on what it is. So my next video is going to clarify a little bit about that. But coming back, every month I'm holding an introduction to purpose discovery. I'm building a cohort towards to begin in July. People are interested, people are signing up. So the next introduction to purpose discovery, it's a free 90-minute workshop that you can join to get a taste of what this is about. 16th of May, 9:30 a.m. Central European Summertime, CEST. I always mix that one up. So it is for people who are done with being told how to live. It's for people, who really want to find out what is true for me. What is true for me? People who are tired of conforming, tired of waiting, tired of outsourcing your inner knowledge to external authorities. It is for you who understands that the human spirit is a free bird, not meant to be caged. If that's you, I would be honored to accompany you on the journey. Links are in the description below. As I keep saying, I guess it's becoming a tagline, your soul is waiting, your move. Namaste. Be well.